I think that the Midwest kind of has their own like stereotypes, and I think they have many similarities. They're both guys that are overlooked and counted out, and I think that's what drives us. We play with a chip on our shoulder.
Football was big. You know, in Ohio, it's a football state, so you know, lacrosse was not a huge sport for the school, but I had two of my best friends played lacrosse, and that's kind of another reason I love playing for my high school team. And so yeah, no, it definitely wasn't huge. I had always played hockey. My dad was Canadian and he played college hockey, so I grew up playing hockey, and that was my sport. The skills of hockey transferred over to lacrosse, and decided that I was going to go out for the team and try it out, and it seemed more interesting than baseball, so went out for lacrosse and just really seemed to enjoy it.
Lacrosse is obviously a really physical sport, and so having the discipline and the toughness of football transfer over into lacrosse really helped me. I think the Midwest guys kind of have that edge to them, and they play a little more physical, so football helps in that regard. And then the offense is kind of the same as far as beating your guy and help defense, and so all the skills in basketball translate as well.
I didn't realize how good people were from the East Coast and how many talented players there were. It was after my freshman year, I went to my first kind of recruiting tournament with East Coast kids, and that's when I kind of realized where I stood in the totem pole and how much work I was going to have to put in just to be able to compete at, against those guys and earn a spot on a college team.
In between sophomore and junior year, you're going out to the East Coast tournaments, and you're playing these guys that have been playing lacrosse since they were in 3rd grade, since they basically were born, had a stick in their hand, and you just go out there and you try and stick it to them as much as you can. You play more physical than them. I've seen lacrosse grow in Minnesota in so many ways. Every time I go back, the state tournament is getting that much more competitive. There's more teams, because when I was in high school, there wasn't even varsity teams. They were still club, and so there's more varsity teams. There's summer teams popping up out of nowhere. Like, more kids are making it their main sport instead of a sport to play in the off season for, say, like a football or soccer or baseball. So it's grown in so many ways.
What's really changed in Central Ohio, and I think across the state, is just that. I mean, I think you've seen a state that had maybe 5 or 6 quality teams on the national level to now where it's just a lot more parity. There's really good lacrosse being played across the state, and there's just a lot more young men coming out to play the game. We look at it as a tremendous asset, seeing the growth and seeing the opportunity now for a young man growing up, hopefully with the dreams of playing Buckeye lacrosse, where 15 years ago maybe it wasn't the case. I think we've really worked hard to create an environment where that's certainly the dream of a lot of young men in the great state of Ohio.